Welcome to the Future Smart Parent Podcast, a place where my mom explores how to help us kids develop a new set of skills we need to face the future with confidence.
I'm Jude Fulston, an introverted mom trying my best to raise kids who are happy and confident, kids who embrace all that makes them unique while preparing them for an exciting future that really looks nothing like the world we grew up in. I believe there's a whole set of skills that our kids aren't being taught. These skills will be critical for them to develop in order to thrive in the future. It's up to us as parents to help them develop these skills. The Future Smart Parent podcast provides resources for parents and kids who want to be ready for all the ways in which the future is going to be different from today. We will explore this future together, bringing insights from top futurists, resources from smart people working on making our lives better, and most importantly, stories of parents who are parenting a little differently, yet very much intentionally for a changing world. So join me as we explore how we can be future smart parents raising future smart kids. Welcome to the Future Smart Parent Podcast. Today, I'm really thrilled to introduce Cheryl Williams, an exceptional STEAM Based Learning Educator. With a teaching journey that began in 2000, Cheryl has gained invaluable experiences in various grades and leadership roles. However, her true passion now lies in the EdTech world, where she has been wholeheartedly dedicated for the past decade. Cheryl's days are immersed in the world of technology, exploring innovative approaches like the Internet of Things, computers, iPads, robots, codings to enhance learning. She is passionate about inquiry and experiential-based learning, understanding its potential impact on preparing children for the future of work. Currently, Cheryl teaches at Glenwood House, pursuing her mission to empower others through teaching and learning. Cheryl loves being a part of the transformation of teaching and learning through digital disruption. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you. What an honor to be here.
I am so excited to be chatting to you today. I've been watching your journey and just seeing what you do. So finally, we have you on the podcast. Welcome. I think maybe if you could just start off by telling us a little bit about the role that you play at the school that you're at. It sounds kind of big, and I don't know, EdTech, as me as not a teacher, I'm like, what is all of this?
Okay, I kind of see my hat as being all things digital. And so I kind of just carry that role for students and for teachers. I teach digital literacy in grade 4 to 7 particularly.
Okay.
And then I do coding and robotics from grade 1s to 7s. Just started an esports league with the senior prep. Yeah, so just being in a space that allows people to play in a digital space.
And as your role, I mean, you obviously, it's part of the curriculum, I presume, or you're teaching the digital skills, and then the coding and the robotics, is that extramural, or is that part of the kids' sort of learning day at school?
So currently we've got it as a extramural. It's still in the roll-in phase, I think, across the country. So yeah, we've got it in as it's quite an expensive journey for schools to take on. So we've got it as an extramural for us at the moment.
Okay.
But soon, I think it's right on the doorstep of being part of the curriculum. So I think schools are gearing themselves up and preparing that they can take that on from next year. I think it's going to be in.
That is amazing. And as you say, I think it's, obviously it's an expensive journey, and also I think quite daunting, right? For teachers and for schools. Before we get there, you obviously love digital and all things digital. Has it always been like that, or were you also at a stage where you were a teacher and kind of nervous of embracing tech?
Yeah, I'm trained as a teacher, so I'm a classroom teacher. I trained in foundation phase, but I've just never been afraid of digital. So as digital has continued to grow and grow, I've just embraced it more and run with it. And I thrive in it. I love it. I just think it makes us bolder, it makes us better, it makes us smarter. So why not embrace it, you know?
What I'm hearing is that you don't have to be an EdTech teacher to embrace digital, right?
Yeah.
How are teachers embracing digital? I mean, how can teachers embrace digital if you're new to this and if you're daunted by it?
I think history is proving itself to us. You know, I think if you're going to resist it, it's not helping. It's not going to stop. I think it's showing itself. Digital's just getting better and better.
Yes.
And so until teachers get to the place where they embrace digital and see how it helps, it empowers, rather than seeing it as a replacement, that we see digital as being an assistant almost.
So maybe you can just give me some practical examples of the way that you and I suppose the teachers at your school, I suppose perhaps being guided and coached by you and having you on their team. Do you have some examples of ways that you use tech to integrate learning to support the kids at your school?
Yeah, I think it's taking that STEAM-based approach where you're bringing technology into what you're already doing. So it's not a separate thing. It's not seeing EdTech as something separate. It's something that's part of a culture almost in the world we live. So why not having it as a culture in our classrooms? It just doesn't make sense to not. So I think that's the goal, is to embrace technology as much as possible in the classroom. The kids thrive in that. That's what they connect with. That's I love the space I'm in because I see that energy transform from as soon as you bring digital technology into anything, the kids come alive. You know, the whole energy changes in the room. So that's what I want to embrace. That's what I want to tap into.
So the classrooms at the moment at the school that you're at, do they work on tech for the majority of their day, or how does it look like for your classes?
Well, I think we pretty much very much in a transition phase. I mean, I speak for most, shall I say, ex-Model C schools, that it's very much in a transition phase. It's kind of that disruptive stage where people are hesitating, not sure, is it replacing me? So there's lots of questions, there's lots of resistance. So, I mean, ideally, we want to see technology in our classrooms and we want to see it as part of our culture. But it is a slow process. It takes a lot of nurturing the teachers to embrace it, teaching teachers to not be afraid of technology, how to get good at it, how to use it to make you better. So it's this constant nurturing. It's change. It's, I think there's always resistance.
And I suppose so I immediately go to, in my mind, when I'm thinking of tech in the classroom, my mind immediately goes to all the kids having their own iPads, using their iPads, but that's not necessarily, I mean, I suppose that might be like at the top of the level, but just because all of your kids don't have their own iPad, it doesn't stop you from still using tech in the classroom. And I suppose that's just what's kind of sunk into me now. Like, there's still a whole variety, I presume, of tech that teachers have available to them to still engage with the kids, right?
Yeah. So I think we're pretty fortunate to have a one-to-one environment where our children bring their own device, and we have every child from grade 4 to up have their own device. So the device is always there for teachers to tap into, that they can research, they can go and explore, so teachers always have that tool on hand for the kids to tap into. That's a very fortunate environment to be teaching in. But yes, without that one-to-one environment, I mean, teachers do always have technology that, there's different ways and methods that you can bring it in, sort of quizzes and Kahoots, and it just brings that energy into the lesson.
I'm not a teacher, and I have all the respect in the world for teachers, but if I was a teacher and I wanted to start embracing tech more, where would I start? And knowing that teachers are so overworked and overwhelmed, in my opinion, that it seems quite a big mountain to climb. Like, where do you even begin to start?
I think it starts with little things. It's little things like being curious. I can only give my own experience as an example. I'm always on the lookout to do, and there's so many courses and things to be doing. The trend is badges and certificates, and that you can get, and everything's free, and it's really quality stuff. So whether you're doing your Google certification or whether you're doing a Microsoft certification, all those platforms have fabulous platforms where you can join different learning paths. I'm on the Microsoft learning path at the moment, and it's just, virtually anything I want to learn. If I want to learn more about Minecraft, if I want to learn about 21st century learning design, I choose any learning path and I follow it, and they do give global recognition for it, which is nice. I think it's nice to get that recognition. But yeah, and there's you kind of set your own path, so it's very personalized. There's no pressure, but there's such valuable content, and I think that for teachers, I think in the veins of our blood, you've gone into the profession because you love learning and you love empowering others with that, and creating spaces where learning can happen. And so it would, for me, only be a natural reaction to embrace digital. It's where education's going.
And I suppose the beauty of this is that digital will certainly has the potential to save teachers time and to
Absolutely
do a lot of the work that do a lot of work for them. I seriously don't ever think that AI or tech could ever replace a teacher, but it can certainly assist and take care of some of the stuff that teachers don't necessarily want to spend their time doing. I'm putting together the AI boot camp for teachers, and it's fascinating to see everything that AI can help teachers with. So, I mean, speaking of AI, I have no doubt that you are fully embracing and jumping into it and experimenting.
It is a no-brainer not to use AI. And it's not to say that I want AI to do the work for me. I want it to make it better. So I'm not making it do the work for me. And I think it has the capacity to do the work for me. You know what I mean? I just taking what I'm already doing and saying, take this lesson and focus on the inquiry or focus on the experience and give it that another edge. I want this lesson to focus on this. Just regenerate this lesson or give me some ideas of how I can transform this lesson. And it's like literally opening Pandora's box. It's just incredible. the potential.
And then, I mean, with every teacher, you will bring your own personality and your own experience and your own influence into that lesson. But I mean, that's what kind of been blowing my mind is when I'm sort of playing around and just the ideas that it comes up with. I mean, it's using the whole internet to now all of a sudden just help you come up with these ideas, like the mental space that it saves and I just find it so exciting, right? And so okay, so when you say that you're using it, are you using it for lesson planning or all sorts?
Literally everything. I'm not one to always, when you're busy and when things are crazy and you're needing to remain efficient and you want to always have this approach of excellence. And I think I'm that type of person. I want to come across professionally and boldly and excellently. And I take what I would write. So I would respond to an email from a parent, and I respond and I say, okay, I've responded, but that is a very natural. Not just how I want my answer to be natural, but I take that and I say, put it in ChatGPT and I say, please just put this in a more professional way.
Yeah.
And even then, not even to take it as it pushes it out, but to say, wow, that's a really great way to have put that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes me look at the way I'm communicating in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
Where I find now, the more I've used it, now when I write, I'm actually starting to speak like that naturally, if that makes sense. I'm now writing, I pop it into ChatGPT and it's actually pushing out the same thing I put in the first place. So it's actually coaching me.
I mean, I've told the story before of when I used ChatGPT to help my 12-year-old do a book report because she was completely stumped. She didn't know where to start. We had just kind of got back into the school system, so it was new to her, and she just didn't know where to start. She's not a big reader, and we put it into ChatGPT, do a book report for Gangster Granny for a 12-year-old. And it produced this beautiful book report, and she read it and she was like, oh, that's what needs to happen. And she read and the words, and so then I obviously took it away from her. It wasn't like, okay, now go and hand this in. That's not what the learning is. So then she happily went off and it just started her on the job. And I saw she used exactly what you're saying. She was then able to use these new words that kind of were new to her vocabulary that she wouldn't have included beforehand. So, and it's exactly the same thing. So as much as the teachers need to embrace tech, I suppose it's also helping the kids see how we embrace it and becoming a part of our days. I mean, the kids can play Minecraft and Fortnite and Roblox until the cows come home, but it's also about showing them how to use tech for their own good. I'm not saying that the game's for their good, but you know what I mean, productively.
Yeah. So it changes the way we're asking questions.
Yes.
AI hasn't just changed it. I mean, we've had internet for how many years, and we've had Google. The thing has always been ask Google, go and ask Google, go and Google it.
Yeah.
If you don't know something, go and Google it and find out. That's kind of always been the catchphrase. Now it's like, go and put it into ChatGPT, so Google's still around, nothing's changed as far as that's concerned. You can still go and find out anything you want to know. It's what we do with that knowledge. And I think that's the mind shift is knowledge has always been there. It's always been at our fingertips. It's how we're taking that knowledge and how we're applying it. How are we applying it into our workplace? How are we applying it into what we do every day? That's the difference.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I suppose if we think about when we were growing up and you had to go to the library and then you had to find the right encyclopedia and then you had to look up the right chapter and then you had to find that information and then you had to find another book, and that took all the time. And then obviously the internet came around and that saved you that time, so that you could actually put work on the output. And now the same with ChatGPT or these
Yeah,
language models.
and it's not just ChatGPT. I mean, I think the AI is coming into technology
Yes.
across in every platform. I mean, I just think of Microsoft Immersive Reader. I mean, it's actually got a reading coach. So
Sure.
your kids can go in and read, and the AI in the platform will coach, give you your speed, give you what are the adjectives in the paragraph. So it actually, it's not just that platform. I think we've made ChatGPT is like it's actually it's in everything already.
Yes, yes. And we're only scratching the very tip of the iceberg,
Yeah.
which is just the most exciting part. And again, I feel like it can get quite overwhelming for not just teachers, for everyone. It's like there's so much that it can do. Like, where do you even start? So yeah, I mean, I suppose, as you've said, it's just encouraging teachers to experiment and to be curious and to collaborate, right?
Yeah, the collaboration is a big thing. I mean, that kind of keeps me going. Just chatting with people, sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. So it is good to have a network that you learn within.
Yes. And then just quickly tell me, I was going to ask you about the esports, because that's just like fascinating. I love to love it, and then it petrifies me as well. So tell me about your esports program, because there can't be that many in South Africa, right?
No, it's I think it's pretty new. I'm still finding my feet there, I must be honest.
Yeah.
But it's a space where the kids, they just, if I want to end, I have esports on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
That's how I end my week, and I promise you, I leave my week energized. They are so, I don't know how to explain that, the energy they bring into that, and they team working, they building, they creating, they
Yeah.
communicating. Depending on the platform they're in, they competing, they they're surviving.
So what
So
so what exactly, I mean, what does it look like? What are they playing? How does it work?
So we've only just really gone into the Minecraft platforms.
Okay.
I haven't been adventurous enough yet to explore further than that. So I'm still finding my feet in the Minecraft world, which is incredibly mind blowing. Yeah, they just it's different platforms where it's skills. It's just people can actually make a career from gaming now.
Yeah. Yeah. But it also blows my mind, because I need to try harder to jump on these platforms with the kids to kind of get into their worlds, because I think it's a great opportunity for parents to connect with their kids in their space. But to be honest, I just can't find my way around those places. I'm like, I mean, my boy I'll hear him shouting, "Meet me at the picnic spot." And I'm like, I don't know how to turn around in this place. Where do I find the picnic spot? And their minds or brains are clearly just wired that much, like, just differently to mine, because like, how do you know where to go, boy? And he just knows.
They do. The kids just think so differently. I mean, I actually did it in my EdTech lessons now for Mandela Day, where they went through a whole history lesson. So they faced different, we call it an NPC, it's a non-player character. So they get a little history lesson. So the world has to be pre-built. They're getting content. So when we say gaming, I think there's two extremes in everything in life. I mean, everything has to still have balance. So I think as parents, we're wanting to nurture balance in everything in life. So I think that's number one. But in an educational environment, it's using the gaming thinking to teach content. So they'll go through a whole sort of history lesson, learning about things, and the end of the challenge is that they have to build something to honor Nelson Mandela based on the content that they've learned. And the
Wow.
things that these kids build is, and it's open floor. They get a canvas to build on, and the things they build.
So then how does it work in Minecraft when you say that they're still learning and they're getting kind of lesson content? How is that you putting that in there? Just to explain so I can understand.
Yeah, so either the teacher can build worlds, or there is such a resource library, huge, that you can tap into that is already there. So you just go and explore different. I mean, I can learn about chemistry in Minecraft, and it takes you through, and it's all pre-built. It's all there already.
Oh,
Different
wow.
challenges. Yeah, so this particular one that we did was in honor of Nelson Mandela, and it was a pre-built world where they had a history lesson, so they could only move on when they had done a certain task, and then it teleports them to a different space where they have to learn a different lesson. So it's just that gamification. I actually don't have words to explain how alive the kids are, and the proof in the pudding is at the end when they actually take what they've learned and they go, okay, I'm going to build this in honor of Nelson Mandela. And they have to actually do a screen recording. They have to talk to me about it. They have to put their voice into it. They have to do a flyover, tell me what they built, why they built it. And the stuff that the kids produce is unbelievable. So the learning experience is just so rich. And it's not just, they haven't just gained. They haven't just had a whole lot of fun, but they've actually learned through that experience. And they've shared it. They've shared their experience with the world by creating the video and sharing it with their classmates, depending on what your aim is of the lesson. I mean, you could take those and give them different challenges. What real world problem are we going to solve? Let's use this platform and get it out there, get your voice out there. What problems are we going to solve? So it's just a different, it's a whole different mindset in methodology.
They're learning in a way that they truly are learning, because they're not necessarily going to forget about that experience, because they're learning as they go. It is really, really exciting. Just for the very first conversation today, your advice for teachers and for parents, I suppose, who might not be at the same stage as you are, what would your kind of initial advice be to kind of get started and to embrace tech so that it doesn't become sort of overwhelming?
Okay, so for teachers, I would say is don't see technology as replacing you. See it as something that enhances you as a teacher. Don't be afraid to explore. Be curious about what's going on out there. Be curious about what the kids are connecting with. And don't be afraid to ask colleagues, and don't be afraid to ask students. And they're so excited to share. So when it's technology you're afraid of, embrace it and get the kids. So flip the lesson and put it in their courts, and you'll be amazed with the richness that comes through from that ownership. And then to parents is to take on that supportive and nurturing role. Keep communicating and keep connected with your kids. Know where they're tapping into. Not necessarily be part of it, because I think of my own experience with my kids. I've always tried to stay connected with the spaces they were in. And they started creating different accounts. I'd always like be their friend and be connected to them and kind of keep a little eye on the side of what they were doing. And it wasn't really that they started creating other accounts and blocked me, and I'm going, oh, horrors. But it's knowing that I'm in this space. I'm not afraid to be in this space.
Yes.
I communicate with them in those spaces. I'm not necessarily connected to them, but I'm in that space, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
again, I suppose it comes back to finding that balance, right? That
absolutely.
challenge of balance. You don't have to become your child's best friend and that's their space, but to be able, to know about it and to be a part of it, it's a balance. On the scale of where you are as a teacher, like where are you in comparison to the majority? And I know it's a tough question because you've got such a vast array of different teaching and schools in this country. So, but if we're talking about sort of the X Model C schools, where would you say you are in comparison to the majority of teachers? I mean, are all teachers aware that you can teach chemistry through Minecraft?
I don't think so. Sometimes I have to kind of hold myself back and go, I'm in this space all the time. So sometimes I can lose perspective of where, if I compare, if I was in a classroom full time with a grade 3 class and I was having to teach them to read and write and the pressure teachers are in that space of teaching content, teaching to assessments. I mean, that pressure is
of course,
it's I almost want to say it's evil.
Yeah.
Because it takes the joy out of learning, So for myself, it's kind of trying to find that balance of how do I encourage these teachers? How do I encourage them to embrace technology, to see the power of technology? Like here's an app and it can coach your kids how to, you can have group reading and not even be present, you can have your group reading session and the kids are doing it on their iPads, it's recording them, it's coaching them. So and that can be part of your classroom routine. But I think the big thing is giving teachers time to be able to explore.
Okay, and so then my next question, I suppose, is, so do most private schools have the EdTech teachers?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And so then your role is to teach the kids, but also to support the teachers?
I think primarily it's to teach, but because I'm so excited about it, I kind of can't hold it back. So every opportunity I can get to support. So I mean, it can be on simple little things like they needing to do a Poppy Act course, which so our school falls under the EdTech umbrella, and everybody had to do a Poppy Act course. They sent, and it was just being there to support teachers to connect and get the tech right. Because I think that's, when you've got a class of 20, 30 kids in front of you, and you can't get the tech right, I think that's, well, I'm not, I can't deal, and so it's all right, put the iPads away, put it in your bag, we're not, and so there's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, so hear me out here, and I'm just bouncing this off you. So I'm running this bootcamp, this AI bootcamp for teachers.
I hope you've got lots of sign-ups because I've been advertising it everywhere.
Oh, you're amazing. I do. I've got about 80 people that are signed up, and I still need to run ads and all of that, because my heart is just that it can do so much, but teachers just don't know. But my problem is that I'm not a teacher, so I don't even know what the teachers are facing, and I don't know what I mean, I had a look at the CAPS curriculum the other day, and I was like, I don't understand any of this. So I can, I can introduce the teachers. I want to show them a practical example of how you can use it to lesson plan and how you can use it for, quizzes and assessments and all of those things and report writing. My goal is then afterwards to create a place where teachers can collaborate. So whether it's a Facebook group where teachers can go and share what they're doing,
Yeah.
and then to put some stuff in there to show people. Do you think teachers are going to be interested in that? Or I just think teachers have got no time. My sister's a teacher, so I see it. She gets home and she is exhausted, and she still hasn't done the 10 things that she needs to do for her classroom, let alone trying to figure out ChatGPT or
Yeah.
Tone or whatever it is. So it's like,
So it's showing in the platform. I mean, I just think of my day today. I needed to set a 15-mark quiz on the topic we've just covered in natural science. So I teach natural science as well. So I needed to set a 15-mark quiz. And I just thought, I can't process right now.
yeah,
And so I did. Went into ChatGPT and I said, give me a 15-mark quiz. I want multiple choice. I want fill in the missing word, and I want match the columns. 15 marks. And in half an hour, I had the quiz set up.
yeah.
So in terms of my own time management, so it's seeing the value in that. That I can take what would have probably taken me a couple of hours to formulate the questions, and I mean, just a multiple choice. Now I've got to think of 4 different answers of what could have been, and ChatGPT would just give it to me in a millisecond.
Yeah.
So it's seeing the value in the time that using the time. I mean, I've still got to go and prepare 25 homeroom comments for school reports. So it's a matter of having all my content ready, I capture all their marks, I put everything to place, and then I say, write a general comment for this child's marks.
Yeah.
And it just gives me the edge. It just takes the edge off. It's putting it in, it takes those marks, pulls it together, and gives me sort of a nice general comment of how the child's doing, and not to say that I even take the whole
but
thing I'm
exactly.
getting, but it's just giving me such nice sentences and taking all those marks into consideration,
Yeah, and it's
um
not any less meaningful for the parent who's getting it. I mean, it's probably
absolutely.
better for them because, I mean, shame if it's report 1, that's fine. But if your kid's report number 25 at the end of the day, like, sorry for that child, because the
Yeah.
quality of that report is going to be worse. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean my own kids, a teacher, the rule of thumb is that you start with something good and then you zone in on sort of the academics. And most comments will start with he's well behaved, or he has a nice sense of humor, or and you kind of you can see, the first sentence is kind of scraping for something to start with, where ChatGPT just gets it right, and puts it in such a nice way, that it's changed the way I write comments, So like I say, it's coaching me in the way I write. So how do I say this in 10 different ways? Like boom, boom, boom. There we go, I'm not saying the same sentence 5 times over. I'm actually saying it in different, original, authentic. I don't know if that's okay to say that, but it's just making my writing better. And I don't have time. So I think we keep going back to the time thing. I think for teachers, it's time. Here I'm giving you a treasure box of ways that you can save on time. I think that's the biggest thing.
I agree.
And it's using those regurgitated projects that we push out every year. Every year, grade 5 does a movement tech project. Let's change it up. Let's zhuzh it up. Give me a different one. Let's use recycling. Let's use a real world problem in this project, and the ideas that came forth were just,
For me, I always go back to I think it's grade 4s who do Egypt Day. And I think every grade 4 does Egypt Day. And when I see the schools posting about Egypt Day and it's the highlight of the year, and I'm like, people, at a 10-year-old, the highlight of someone's year should not be being dressed up as an Egyptian and eating Egyptian food. Like, fun, but there's other stuff that we can be doing.
Yeah. And where's the real world here?
Exactly. No, but listen, you've given me lots to think about, because the school that our kids are at, it's tiny, and I said they're under-resourced, and the teachers, they're under-resourced, and so they're battling. So now when you say you can coach your kid for reading, oh my goodness, that's amazing. But I mean,
and it's free. It's free.
And in this country, when education is such a problem, okay, I know we can't get a computer into every class, but it can still help. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't have to go and pay a subscription. It's stuff that's available. It's a mind shift, you know, it's not to see it as you're cheating. It's making us better.
Yeah, totally. And it's the creativity and the bigger ideas that are going to come out of all of this. You know, you can't compare, really.
So where we started 10 years ago, where the internet was still pretty new and everybody, you know, ask Google, and is it cheating to ask Google? And, you know, I mean, we actually passed that now.
Exactly.
Now we're on to the next thing, and it's better and it's bigger, and now it's actually part of people's basic needs. That's why I said it's changing basic needs.
It must be very frustrating for you to see like what can be done, and I suppose, and hopefully teachers will start to embrace it the more it becomes. You know, I showed my sister, because my sister must be about 55 now, and she's at the end of her teaching career, and she's tired. And I'm like, you've got to start using ChatGPT, even if it's just for your reports. Ugh, you can't do that for reports. Don't be ridiculous. I'm like, come sit over here. Let me show you. Oh my goodness. She's like, oh, this is quite nice. Now, like, she's told her colleagues, and now everything. Oh, let's ask ChatGPT. I'm like,
yeah. Well, I think, I mean, you can see people are using it. I mean, there are people using it. You can see just the standard, and in a lot of people's writing is suddenly taking a shift up.
Cheryl, thank you very much. I think this gives a lot of people some great things to think about. So thank you. And I'm already looking forward to the next conversation we have.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel energized just from our conversation. So it's an exciting world.
It very much is.
To be alive in.
If you're a teacher who wants to jump in to understand how you can use AI in your classroom, then our free 5-day bootcamp that we're hosting in August might just be for you. AI Made Easy for Teachers, our 5-day bootcamp, will help teachers use AI to save both time and mental space. So join us for 30 minutes at 7:30 p.m. every evening from the 14th to the 18th of August for some learning, unlearning, and sharing. It's free, it's going to be fun, and I think it'll blow your mind when you see how much it can help you. For more information and to grab your spot, go to www.futuresmartparents.com/teacher bootcamp. futuresmartparents.com/teacher bootcamp.